Hey everyone, Mo here, and before the video begins, I just want to let you guys know that my schedule has opened up for me to do coaching again. So if you're interested in private one-on-one coaching for me to help you, whether you're a newer player and you want to excel at the game very quickly and learn the fundamentals without developing any bad habits early, or if you're an experienced player who's already maybe platinum or diamond in your top 1%, but you need some help filling in the gap to get you to that 0.01% to make you just some of the best, then hit me up on Discord and I can get you in some private one-on-one coaching lessons to help you polish up any skills you want to refine and help you learn all of the secrets to becoming a top player. That's it. I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everybody, Mo here, and in this video, I'm going to be bringing you guys another Meta Monday video. This one's going to be for August 30th, and this is going to be the week after, or I guess technically week of the new Bandlewood expansion into the Bandlewood, I think is what it's called. So we just got all the new cards. I'm going to tell you guys what are the most played meta decks right here, as you see on the side here. Some matchup tables, some region popularity cards, cards being played in every single region, how popular each region is, all that stuff. And I do this every week. So if you're new here, if you're new to the series, make sure to leave the subscription here, leave a comment down below telling me you enjoyed this series, and I'll keep doing it every Monday so that way you guys can be caught up with the meta. I'll go ahead and throw in a deck that I think is very either underrated or could be really, really good into this meta based off of the 9 decks here, and so far I've been really right. The last couple meta reviews I've done, I've said, oh, Anivia looked really, really good, and then lo and behold, Anivia started rising in popularity and the win rate was going up because Anivia is just, really, really good. So if you want to continue seasons, like I said, just make sure to stop by every Monday and leave us up here. Another thing of house cleaning before we get up, or is it housekeeping, house cleaning, whatever it's called, is we did hit our 3,000 subscriber goal. So I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who hit the subscribe button and helped me out reaching that milestone. That is amazing. I never thought I would get that far. So it means a lot to me. I appreciate you guys, and let's keep growing together by hitting the subscribe button. But yeah, so that's it. Let's get into the meta. So we have the 9 most played what are called meta decks. So meta decks are decks that I guess are just popular or feel like are established. So the most played meta deck here is going to be Darkness Control with a 52% win rate. I think this deck sucks. I'm going to be completely honest. I personally feel like Darkness sucks. It has a 52% win rate. That is not very good. A lot of the top played decks going in the past, the Sivir Auction Demacia, the Azir Aurelias, the the Zed Lulu elusive style decks, all of those that were the most played were not only super played with 13,000 matches played, but they would have a win rate of 55+%, and it was really, really good. This deck is very underwhelming to me. I feel like the deck has a long way to go before it is polished. Maybe after it's polished and refined, the deck could be good. We'll see. But here you go. 52% rate. Not bad, I guess. I mean, at least a 50% win rate is supposed to be decent. So I guess you could say this deck is decent. 12% most played. Second most played, and I'm surprised this one is not the most played, is Discard Midrange. This is the new Draven Scion deck. Darkness is the new Senna Viger control deck. Discard Midrange is Scion Draven. This was the first deck to hit Masters in North America. This was the second deck to hit Masters in North America. It is boasting a 55% win rate, which is really good for a brand new deck. A deck that's had less than a week to be optimized at all. I still believe people aren't even playing the best version of it. I have a good version of it. I'll be having a deck guide come out here in a couple of days on this YouTube channel. So if you want to learn how to play this mid-range deck, you want to learn all the ins and outs of it, the different cards, the reasons why it's in here, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for this week. I will have a deck guide on it, and I'll show you guys the spice and how to optimize the list. But yeah, this deck is extremely strong. It's new and strong, which is scary. Scion is a scary card. If your opponent does not have a mini-morph, basically exactly mini-morph, they are going to die to Scion. He is a very scary boy. The third most popular, dropping all the way down to 5%, so less than half of the matches played, only 5,000 matchups, is Wee Woo Fun Police Demacia Sivir Auction. So, nothing new here. Has a 59% win rate. Don't think this deck is any more broken or less broken than it was previously. The reason it has a 59% win rate is because the only people playing this deck are people that have no friends and that want to get masters early. So it's going to be people that have already had a 2+ months of games on this deck. They are super refined with this refined version. It has literally 0 new cards in it. So it is just people spamming out the same broken deck they've been spamming, except they're playing it against bad decks that aren't refined, decks that people are just wanting to have fun with. For instance, like Taliyah Ziggs, Senna Gohard, all this random junk, traps that people are wanting to have fun with because we got new fun cards. Severed Demacia is just preying on those. So don't look at this 59% win rate and think like, oh, the deck's even more broken than before, it needs a nerf. It's the same deck from before. It's going to even out to the same win rate, I'm sure. And it's just, there's been no balance patches, so no reason the deck should be any better than it was previously. And yeah, so this will probably go down. But yeah, I mean, Severed Demacia is still a really good deck. Once, people stop having a fun time with the new cards, here I assume in the next week or 2 weeks at most, so we'll see Severed Demacia be back up at the top here with a nice 55% win rate. Nami Elusives. This is a deck everyone was excited for. Nami is a very strong card. A lot of people say Nami is the most strong card, or the strongest of champions in the Bandlewood expansion. So we have Nami on here twice. We have Nami Elusives and Zoe Nami. So Nami Elusives is going to be the Nami Fizz style archetype, where you just go out with Elusives, you play Shoei, and you kind of just buff your entire team a whole bunch and try and OTK your opponent. I've seen Nami Elusives with PNZ, so you used to play old TF Fizz style deck. I've seen Nami Elusives with just Bandlewood Bilgewater. There's a lot of ways to build this deck, and I think this deck will be really good once people figure out the most optimal way to build it. If it is going to be pairing it with Bilgewater or Bandle City, or if it's going to be pairing it with Bilgewater or PNZ. People aren't really sure yet, so we're still trying to optimize this and figure this out. But, I mean, hosting a above 50% win rate makes it an alright deck. It's on the same wavelength as Darkness. It's an alright deck at the current moment. So, not crazy impressive, but not really bad. Speaking of really bad, we have Senna Gohard. This deck sucks. This deck is extremely underwhelming. This deck is, not only can I just say it's bad because I think it's bad, but it also only has a 58% win rate. Of course, the deck is still not refined and can still be refined, but it's 3% of the meta over 2,600 matches, and the deck has less than a 50% win rate. It's less than ideal. You play Gohard, you have to spend an entire turn to play the Catalog of Regrets. Catalog of Regrets is not a bad card by any means, don't get me wrong. It's just a huge tempo loss, and you have to make that up almost immediately with casting Gohards. The biggest thing is this deck just loses to so much. Gohard loses to discard midrange. It loses to Demacia Sivir. It's going to lose to Bandle Tree decks. It's going to lose to your Ziggs Taliyah decks or any type of big OTK style deck, because you just don't have enough time to do anything. So, and that could be a lot of your Azir Aurelia also. That could be your elusive decks. Anything that OTKs you, kills you in one turn, you are not going to do very good into. And because we're in a mid-range meta, but all of the mid-range decks have some crazy over-the-top combo kill, then it's less than ideal to be playing 1 mana, deal 1 damage. Next we have Ziggs Taliyah deck. So this is going to be Bandlewood Shurima. This is I'm going to give my champions Overwhelm and then kill you with a Ziggs with Overwhelm or Taliyah with Overwhelm. The idea there is the ability from Ziggs and Taliyah, both of them say deal damage to my blocker, and then, after that, if they're blocked, they usually don't do damage. If you give them Overwhelm, their ability will remove their blocker, and then after removing the blocker, the champion will go ahead and push through for the full Overwhelm damage, which makes it nuts. So usually pair these with something like a Magus. Ziggs himself is really good at closing out games. You can level Ziggs on turn 4. I've scrummed against people leveling Ziggs on turn 4. It's super, super crazy. Taliyah herself, again, is really, really good with Overwhelm, as well as she can copy some of your crazy landmarks. Any type of deck that's playing as a 6 mana altar can only be so bad. I don't know if these decks are playing altar, but the Shurima support cards are really, really good. I usually say I don't want to give out too many secrets because I have Worlds coming up and I want to practice for Worlds and leave all the secrets to myself. But because this is a Meta Monday video, I'll go ahead and let you guys know that all of these Shurima followers and the Shurima support cards we got on the Xerath release are broken. The 3/3 Overwhelm unit that grows every time you pop a landmark is broken. Magus is broken. Altar is broken. The Sarcophagus Mummy guy for 3 mana is broken. That entire Shurima support package that we got, broken. So, I would be 0% surprised. Also, with Arsenal working how he works right now. Right now, for those of you that aren't aware, the Arsenal is the 8 mana epic that says every time you have destroyed a landmark or one of your allied landmarks is destroyed, he gets a random keyword. At the current moment, if he gains the keyword Spell Shield, he permanently has Spell Shield. You cannot remove the Spell Shield because it's considered an aura. So as soon as you remove the Spell Shield, the aura goes back into place and says, hey, you should have Spell Shield, and immediately puts it back onto him. If that does not get changed, if it's not a bug, if it stays that way, I would be 0% surprised to see some sort of Ziggs Talia or Ziggs Xerath or Ziggs Zilean style of deck that runs just all of this landmark destruction, all of the Shurima crazy broken package, and then has the arsenal for the top end if you really, really need it, because that card can close out games like no one's business. So that's a deck to keep on the lookout. And if you're in the stock market, I would invest in some Ziggs Talia. So the next thing we have here is Zoe Nami, another Nami deck. This one's again kind of big in popularity. I know my friend Darkodius has recently hit Masters with this deck. He calls it Space Fish. I think that's a really stupid name, and people in Canada are really bad at naming things, and that just kind of proved my point. This is basically just, I'm going to play Nami, I'm going to play some elusives from Bilgewater and Targon. Most importantly, you get to play Sparklefly, and you kind of just spam out a bunch of spells. All of your units are elusive. You only play elusive units, so you don't have to worry about buffing non-elusive units. That's a really big problem that I've seen a lot of people that are building these decks have, is they are building it in a way to where sometimes they go ahead and buff non-elusive units and it gets really awkward. Well, the good versions only play elusive units, so you're perfectly fine with that. The next thing we're going to talk about here is the Azir Aurelia. Again, nothing crazy. It's just people being fun police and not wanting you to have fun and enjoy your new cards. And yeah, 2,000 matches in, 55% win rate. It's very average, which is actually the most surprising thing. The fact that it only has a 55% win rate and not something crazy like a 59 or a 60% win rate is kind of cool. Like, that means that maybe there are more decks that are standing up to it and being able to beat it. I know that elusives can go well into it sometimes. Most of the time, elusives is just going to lose. But if you can get really fast with elusives, if you can race Azir Aurelia, that's a really good thing to do. Right now, there are a lot of aggro decks being played. You have this discard mid-range deck. Yes, it is a mid-range deck, but sometimes you have these nutty hands where you're doing... I had someone do 11 damage to me on turn 3. So, like, you can have some of these super nutty, crazy hands that your opponent just can't deal with. And Azir Aurelia is very susceptible to aggro openers, decks that try and pressure them before they have the turn 4, turn 5 to actually kill you. If you can do enough work there on turns 1 through 4, you have a pretty good chance at killing them if you can force them into blocks. And the last most popular meta deck that we have here is Trap Masterminds with a whopping 44% win rate. Yeah, this deck sucks. I mean, it's cool. When it works, right? The problem is this deck will be really, really good in tournaments, but really, really bad on ladder because it is so polarizing. This deck will do really good into probably discard mid-range if I had to guess, because you get to Frostbite the big Scion and stuff like that. So it'll do not bad into trap or into Scion mid-range. It'll do not bad into any type of slow Shadow Isle Freljord control deck because you filled the deck up with mushrooms. Karina is an insane finisher against these slow decks. The problem is, and this is the problem that was with Teemo Ezreal and Teemo Sejuani, is this deck sucks on ladder. It's too polarizing. As soon as you hit any type of aggro style deck or mid-range style deck, you have to basically high roll. If you hit an aggro deck, you're probably going to lose. If you hit a mid-range deck, you have to draw pretty well, and your mid-range opponent only has to draw okay. So this deck, I would avoid playing this deck on ladder. Of course, play what you want, have fun. But this deck, do not get fooled by this 44% win rate. This deck is going to be really strong in tournaments. And if you are wanting to target these slower control style decks or the discard mid-range, the Zion, I call it Zion, the Draven Scion style deck, then this deck, this Trap Masterminds could 100% be for you. So those are the most played meta decks. As you see here, we have 14% other meta decks and 43 non-meta decks. This just takes into account this 12 other meta decks are just 49% win rate or higher decks that just have less than this 2,080 matches played. And the non-meta decks are just going to be all other decks that are played that have a 49% win rate or higher. It has all other decks that are under a 49% win rate. So those are the most popular decks. The deck I think that is not on here that it really impressed me is going to be Bandletree. If you have followed my Twitter or watched any of my Twitch streams, you'll know I am a huge advocate for Bandletree. Nick has hit Masters with Bandletree. I think it was like he hit Masters with mostly Bandletree. He hit rank 5 with Bandletree. I think he plans on going for rank 1 today with Bandletree. I'll let you know, out of this top 9, Bandletree beats Darkness Control, discard this discard mid-range, You lose to Sivir Demacia. You're 50-50, if not 55% into elusives because you raced them. You beat Gohard. You beat Ziggs Talia if they're not playing Desert Naturalist. If they're playing Desert Naturalist, you will never beat this deck. You beat Zoe Nami because you're faster than them. And then you can race Azir Rally. So same thing. So this is like a 50-50, 50-50, 50-50. So at worst, you're half, if not, you're 50%, if not better, into the elusive decks. And with Azir Rally, I scrim this matchup a lot. If they don't draw champions, you win the game. If they do draw champions, it's going to be very, very close if you can race them down or not. Trap Mastermind, you win this every time. So any type of slow deck, Bandletree wins. The mid-range decks that don't play Rally, you win. The elusive style decks, if they have some type of slow opener, you can usually just play a bunch of cards, play a Poppy, boom, swing, they're dead. They can't do anything about it. You just kill them. It's that simple. So Bandletree is not on here. I expect a rise in Bandletree. Bandletree, I think, is being super underrated. I think just because it's a really hard deck to build, you can't just roleplay and put like... You have to build the deck in a very specific manner. There's a lot of math that goes into building that deck to optimize it. But once the deck gets optimized, I would not be surprised if we started seeing that deck high on ladder. I don't think it'll be tier 0 or the best deck in the game by any means, but it will definitely be up here on this most played deck list. So that's it. Next, we're just going to skim over the matchup table. This is a lot to read, a lot to take in. I'll have a link to this entire graphic and to Cosmic's Twitter in the description of this YouTube video. He is the guy that makes all the graphics. He is the guy that puts in all of the hard work. I just kind of make it, I guess, easier to read, or I put it into a video format for those of you that do not like to read or cannot read. So basically, this just shows you against each other meta deck how these pair up. So like Darkness, for instance, is 60% into Scion Draven mid-range. It's really bad in the Sivir Auction, good into the elusives, this Gohard variant, and then really bad into Aurelia. So this shows you the 52% there. So obviously it's losing to a bunch of random stuff because it looks really good here, but then you have to realize it still only has a 52% win rate, which means it's losing to a lot of other random things, being, you know, Bandletree and other just type of mid-range style decks. And then that's essentially all this chart shows you, is how the best decks match up against each other. This doesn't take into account all of the random decks and stuff like that. So don't get fooled at these charts and think like, oh, okay, well, that's a bad example. Okay, well, that's a bad example. So don't look at this, take a look at Darkness and be like, oh, well, it looks nuts. It only has, you know, 2 bad matchups here. The deck is broken. Obviously, if it was broken, it wouldn't have a 52% win rate. Next thing we're going to go up to is Deck of the Week. So this is going to be kind of like a new deck or a deck on the rise. And it's Poppy Tristana. This is like a Poppy Tristana. It's like a white weenie style deck if you come from Magic the Gathering. It's a tempo, just I'm going to play a bunch of units and then swing at you. The units aren't going to be ginormous by any means, but they're going to be a decently sized once you buff them up. You just play a bunch of small or okay-ish sized units, buff them up with things like Tristana, and then you rally with Golden Ages. Maybe you can throw in a Yordle in arms or something like that here, and you just have a bunch of tiny units that end up getting larger, and you eventually kill your opponent a lot quicker than they expect you to. Your best matchup is going to be playing against the Draven Scion, the discard midrange that plays Shadow Isles here. So the ones that's playing like the Matron variant, stuff like that, that tries to make it a more combo style deck. A 62% win rate there. Your worst matchup is going to be Sivir Auction, where you lose 70% of the time, only win 30% of the time. So this looks like it's just going to be, you're going to lose to all of the big mid-range like Demacia decks, but you should beat a lot of the greedier decks because you're too fast for them. So card popularity by region. These are the cards in each region. So in Freljord, 57.5% of the games or decks are playing Three Sisters. 54% of the decks are playing Troll Chant. Pretty good. Ionia, 82% are playing Twin Disciplines. 45% are playing Shadow Assassin. Pretty decent. Demacia, we have the highest card inclusion rate, I think, ever or of all time recently, is Sharpsight. 96.6% of all Demacia decks are playing Sharpsight. That, I believe, is the highest ever. If not, it's the highest in a very, very long time. Almost every single deck is running Sharpsight. That's nuts. Brightsteel Protector, again, another high inclusion rate of 86.9% in all Demacia decks. PNZ, you have Get Excited and Mystic Shots are going to be in 2/3 of every single deck, 66%. And Noxus, almost every single deck is playing Draven, and most decks are playing Fallen Rider. I assume this is because the discard variant is just being thrown in there, and Draven can be flexed into a lot of things. Shadow Isles, you have Vile Feast in 83% of your decks, which is a lot. So if you're playing in Shadow Isles, expect Vile Feast. Senna in 77%. Targon, we have Pale Cascade in 80, Hush at 77, Bilgewater, we have Zap at 84, Nami at 55, Shurima, we have Preservarium at 72%, and Shapestone at 69.2%. And then Bandletree, we have a 70% for Hidden Pathways and a 68% in Pokestick. This one surprises me. For those of you that don't know, Pokestick is kind of broken, so I'm really surprised that only 68% of players, or 68% of decks in Bandlewood are playing Pokestick. I thought this number would be a lot higher, but, you know, maybe people will learn one day that this card is broken and start throwing it into every Bandlewood deck. And the last thing we're going to go over here is region popularity. So, Freljord, not very popular, 4%. Targon, extremely not popular. I think is the least popular I've seen any region ever, at 2%. Demacia at 7%. And only at 5%. We'll go over the most popular regions. Is of course going to be Bandlewood. We just got a bunch of brand new cards for it, so that makes a lot of sense. Second is going to be PNZ. That's pretty interesting. And third is going to be a tie between Noxus and Shadow Isles. So I guess Bandle City being the most played is not very surprising to me. It's brand new. Plus you get Splash Bandle City into just a lot of your decks here, so that makes it pretty easy to play. But the second most highest being PNZ is really interesting to me. So that's going to be all of your trap decks. That's usually going to be your discard mid-range decks. That's going to be your Draven Ezreal control decks. This is going to be your Caitlyn trap decks. This is going to be all of that type of stuff. So those are your most popular regions, and your least popular regions being Targon and Freljord, because Targon has gotten nerfed and didn't really get any type of support in the newest set, if I'm not mistaken. So it was super nerfed and then hasn't gotten any support yet. Good. No one likes Targon. And Freljord, it hasn't really got nerfed. It just doesn't have very good cards in it. I don't think it got anything new or crazy from the new set, so that also is not very surprising. So that's it for this week's Meta Monday video for August 30th. Again, so deck I think that's underrated, that's not on here, is Bandletree. Go get your Bandletree deck list. I'll post a Bandletree deck list in the comments below, or sorry, in the description below, as well as a link to Cosmic and all of these graphics. You can check them out on your own and reference them later on. Make sure to go ahead and join my Discord. That's also in the description below. And follow me on Twitch. I stream on there 5 days a week. And subscribe here on YouTube because I post videos here 5 days a week. That's it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. See you in the next one.